question for you.
So, welcome to everyone online. Is this one better? Yeah.
Yes.
Bad Mike has to stand in the corner. Let's start on page 10. We'll sing how good it is for us all to be together. So now let's bring the light of Shabbat, and what we're going to do now is we have some visitors from a faraway land, another country called St. Louis, Missouri. Jen and Ken Stemple, if you guys could please come up with it to come help light the candles with us. We're on page 2. Jen and Ken were longtime members here. These children were a gleam in their eye when they first came to the congregation, and we were part of their names and their lives, and they were part of our lives, and it's so great to see them, and it just makes me a little happy but sad because we don't see you on a regular basis. Let's sing together. So now we begin by singing a little bit. We brought the light of Shabbat into this space. And before we continue, there's this moment that occurs right now, which is kind of that space between our regular week and the holiness of Shabbat. So I offer this poem, and then I'll be quiet and we can reflect upon our week. Some weeks go by, and what happened left such an imprint on your heart and your soul that you will never forget it. Some weeks go by and blend into life's landscape as if one blade of grass in a field of green. Most weeks go by and there are isolated moments, little happenings, big events, great happiness, dismal disappointment, incredible enlightenment, heavy regret, a calm feeling of safety, and some of it blends and some of it pops like brilliant flowers or crusty weeds. But now we're here. A time to let it just sink in, to leave everything aside for just a moment and just be a human being. So we take a moment and we breathe, and then we'll sing and pray and be in Shabbat. Let's take a moment, bring ourselves from the week into this moment. Continue to welcome Shabbat on page 20 with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala 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 v'nei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala yala 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 v'nei Shabbat nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmi'anu Adonai Echad Ushmo Echad L'Shem Tiferet V'Letehila Echad Dodi Likrat Kala Yala 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 V'nei Shabbat Nekabela Echad Dodi Likrat Kala Yala 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 V'nei Shabbat Nekabela. Verse 5, Hitoreri, Kiva Orech, Umiori, Uri, Shir Daberi, Kivod Adonai, Alayich Nikra, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Yala 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 V'nei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Yala 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 V'nei Shabbat Nikabela. Let us rise and face our entrance, perhaps the Sabbath bride. Walk right between those pillars. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha ובצורה תוכמוני הסגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה יאללה 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 בשבת Shabbat Nekabela. Let's continue on page 28 with the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Vaed. You may be seated. In a moment, we'll continue on page 34 if you'd like to go there. And God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. And we say you are near. We are lonely and alone. Oh, let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. Turn to the Shema 34. It is traditional to close our eyes for this blessing. Just think about how sometimes you do feel very close to God, and there's other times where you feel far away. Perhaps we go back and forth between closeness and farness. But this prayer tells us how connected everything is, and that no matter how far or close we feel we are connected. And so we sing together. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Let's just take a breath. We continue now on page 40 as we sing what the Israelites sang as they became free on the other side of the Sea of Reeds. All together. Yada bye 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 yada bye 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 yada bye 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 yada bye yada bye 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 yada bye 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 yada bye 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 mi chamocha b'elim Adonai mi kamocha neta b'kodesh noratiyot o sefer malchutcha ra'u v'necha bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam malchutcha ra'u v'necha bokeyam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zezeli anu ve'ameru Adonai Himloch Leolam Leolam Vahei Yada da da Yada da 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 Yada da 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 Yada da גורלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל. As we turn to page 42, sing a blessing, Ufros Aleinu Shabbat Shalom, and I can't help think of our brothers and sisters in Tel Aviv. Hopefully they're sleeping right now. There's no fear, no sirens, no missiles. I'm just hoping for a shelter of peace to come over all of them as they sleep in the night, just as we wish it for ourselves. Sing Ufros Aleinu and then the indented section on the bottom of this. Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shomecha Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha. Try that again. Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha Ushmor Tzeiteinu Uvoeinu Lechaim Shalom Mertave Adonai Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shlomecha. We move from there to page 253. We're going to come back to 246 in a moment if you want to keep your finger there. But we know that even though we pray for a shelter of peace to come over us, that there are many of us in our community, around the world, people that we know, we love, we care about, that they are not laying down in peace because they're in need of healing. I have a list here that I'm going to read and then I'll come around to all of you. Try to make eye contact with everybody. You can call out the names of your loved ones that are in need. Then we'll come back in the second half of the blessing and we'll pray on behalf of all those names that we've heard this evening. 253, Mishabel. Mishabeirach Avoteinu Mikol May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. Let us say Jill Kahn, Eitan Chaim, Woody Clark, Judy Fenton, Tanaz Faladi, Bruce Garfield, Shir Gaol, Felicia Glantz, Eric Innocenti, Marion Klieger, Bill Kelligan, Leah Marisa bat Rivka Adina Yaakov Ruven, Adina bat Michal, Brad Lundy, Velvo Ben Meir, Tali Merowitz, Rob Porter, Howard Rosen, Lindy Sober, Marvin Sober, Mabuda Soleimani, Seppi de Soleimani, Louise Soto, Yehudit Bat Nahama Mordechai, Alina Machtel, Freddie Wolf, Andy Wood, Shala Zagi, Andrew Zeiger, and Howard Zeiger. מי שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה אבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Continue now on page 46 with the Amidah. We'll rise together, say the first line together, and then you can go silently to about page 62. So we're in 46, so please rise. When you're done with the prayers in your heart, prayers in the Siddur, then you may be seated. Adonai tzvatai tifta, Adonai tzvatai tifta, ufi yagid tilatecha, ufi yagid tilatecha. As we do in the morning and in the evening, let's sing for peace. Page 60. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam, Tasim Leolam, Tasim Leolam. You may not know this, but Danny Freelander and Jeff Klepper wrote that song. They're called Klepper and Freelander. They're kind of like the Lennon and McCartney of Judaism. They just came out with a new album, first time in 30 years, and there's 30 songs on it. So you may want to just check it out. It's called Partners, We're Partners, The Partners, something like that. But if you look up Klepper Freelander, you'll find it. Because there's bound to be a couple beautiful melodies on there that you might like. So just thought I'd throw that out there. There's a concept that I learned a long time ago. I think it was 1979 or 1980. Is that a long time ago? No. Yes, it's all relevant. I'm not even going to show a show of hands of who remembers 1979 or 1980. I don't want to embarrass you. So anyway, there was a theater professor at Clark University named Ray Monroe. And he had this concept called situational victories. To any kind of an interaction are actually searching for a victory of some kind. And that, he was taking it so that if you're an actor in a scene, in that scene, that character wants a situational victory. And what's in their mind, either, I'm adding this, unconsciously or consciously, there's something that each of us is after in every interaction we have. That was his claim. We may not be aware of what even that victory looks like, but somewhere deep inside of us, we know that if we come out of that with something, that's what we intended to have. So I think there's times where this concept is problematic, and I think we have a great example of this in our Torah portion this week. I know all of you were thinking, how is he going to turn this to the Torah portion? I know you were, Penny. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview. Our Torah portion this week is Balak, and it is a very famous Torah portion, especially for the fact that there is a line in it, Ma tovu olecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael. We begin every single morning service with those lines taken from this book of Numbers. And those words are not even spoken by an Israelite. They're spoken by Bilam the prophet, who is not an Israelite prophet. And if you go to check him out after this service or tomorrow in your Shabbat studies, you will discover that Judaism paints Bilam to be an extremely bad person, evil, in fact, horrible. But read the text and decide for yourselves based upon his actions. What happens in the story is he's asked to curse the Israelite people. He says to Balak, who's the king of Moab, he says, listen, I'll go. First he says, I'm not going. Then he decides, okay, I'll only go, but you have to know, I'm only going to say what God tells me to say. Right? So whatever happens, I actually don't even know right now what's going to come out of my mouth because I only speak the words that God puts into my mouth. And so he goes there to curse Israel, he blesses them. He comes back a second time to curse them, he blesses them. He comes back a third time, that's where the Matovu line is, and he blesses them once again. And he continually says throughout, he says, I can't just go and curse these people. They're blessed by God, not cursed by God. So you get this picture of this Bilam, and that's his situational victory, to go there and to do whatever God tells him to say. On his way, however, he's riding on his, I'm going to use the word donkey, just because it's a little embarrassing to use the other word and we have children here. He's riding on his donkey. God doesn't want him to go. What's his situational victory? to get to the Israelites to curse them. That's all he's thinking about. He's on the donkey. The donkey sees an angel or a messenger from God with two swords going like this in front of him. And the donkey, actually it's a her, and the donkey moves over to one side and scrapes his leg against a fence, or like a rock wall. And so he smacks the donkey. Later on, shows up again. He starts moving over to the left. She starts moving to the left, this donkey, and scrapes his leg up against vineyards. And he smacks the donkey again. And finally, the donkey just sits down. And he's smacking the donkey, and the donkey turns its head and says, "Why are you doing this to me, man?" I'm paraphrasing. "Have I ever done anything like this before? Don't you think I'm acting rather strangely?" Now, I want to point out, it's the only other animal that speaks in the Bible. What's the first animal that speaks? A snake. Thank you. So that's a trivia question for you at dinner. So the fascinating part of this is, once the donkey says that, his eyes are opened and he sees the angel there. And he says, "I sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the way against me. Now, if it displeases you, I will turn back." What is the sin? He didn't see the angel there. He didn't know that God didn't want him to go. So what is the sin that Balaam does? Because think about it. Jacob has almost the exact same line. When he wakes up from the dream with the ladder, he says, "God was in this place and I didn't know it." But he doesn't claim he sinned. So why is Balaam's a sin? Because he didn't realize God was there, but Jacob's is not a sin. We have an answer from Kanfei Nishorim, who offers this, quote, "There are some things that one does not know, which in itself is a sin. If a son strikes his parents, he cannot justify his act by saying he did not know it was forbidden to strike your parents. A king's bodyguard cannot claim that he doesn't know who the king is. Similarly, a prophet cannot claim that he did not know that an angel stands before him." And this is what Balaam claims. "I have sinned in that I did not know. Since I am a prophet, I should have known that an angel stands before me. This ignorance in itself is a sin." Kanfei Nishorim, by the way, believes, as many do in our tradition, that Balaam is a really bad prophet. But this kind of shows it. He wasn't very good. Couldn't see the angel, didn't know what God really wanted him to do, even though in the end he does God's will. But he does say throughout the entire time that all he's going to do is say what God puts in his mouth. All the other times, he proves that he's a prophet, except for this one moment. And I think it's because he was too concerned about where he was going and not as concerned about where he was at that moment. It reminds me of Abraham. I feel like Abraham, when he went to sacrifice his son, was like blinded by his job. And that's what I feel Balaam was. So concerned about where he was going, so concerned about what he had to do, that he wasn't paying attention to what was happening literally right in front of him. He was too concentrated on the goal of the journey as opposed to the journey itself. Too interested in, as I mentioned earlier, the situational victory of the moment. And he was like, I just kind of picture, I have to prophesize, I have to prophesize, I have to prophesize. Like that, he's just obsessed with what he has to do. And because of it, he wasn't able to see what was in front of him. He couldn't see any of the signs. He couldn't see the angel. He couldn't see why his donkey was acting so strangely. He didn't even question the fact that the donkey was talking. He doesn't even comment on that idea. He was so blinded by the outcome, the situational victory of the moment, by the end of the journey, That he didn't think to imagine that the small moments inside the journey is what actually is important in making the journey itself. So I think that's the message for us. So many times I find myself like looking forward. What do I have to do next? Where do I have to be? And I imagine and fantasize and think of my situational victory and how I can come out on top. That I don't stop to recognize that really it's this very moment that I'm even thinking about it that I have to pay attention to. And stop thinking about what hasn't happened yet. It's like the only way we can truly be here is if we place ourselves in this moment of our lives, as opposed to those things that constantly propel us to somehow win and move forward. So may we all take a moment, take time to listen to the talking donkey and recognize what's around us. Shabbat Shalom. Let's finish our service on 282. Please rise for Elena.
לשבח, לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אינו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Run 287 ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Maybe sing it for a moment. We turn to page 294 and we prepare ourselves for Kaddish Yatom. I'd like to ask if there's anyone here observing Shloshim, the first 30 days after the death of a loved one. If you please stand and tell us who you're here to say Kaddish for. We remember Hamoyam Tony Neiman. Is there anyone who is observing a yard site on this Shabbat? If you please stand and tell us who you're here to say Kaddish for.
My husband Bruce Stiglitz and my sister Barbara Lipson-Kopp.
My mother wouldn't want me to say a word. My mother taught me forever. My father-in-law.
And is there anyone in the first year after the death of a loved one that would like to say their name? We especially remember Bess Berman and Murray Casorla, Beatrice Krieger, Pamela Jaffe Laventhal, Aaron Manis, Maya Rothstein, Harry Rowan, and Jesse Ward. Let us say Kaddish Yatom for those that have known to say it for them as we rise together. We say it for those that were lost in the Holocaust. We say it for those that died from COVID. We say it for all those lives that have been lost since October 7th. Say it together. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach heyotei be'amlich malchutei, b'chai chom v'yomei chom v'chayei b'chol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman karev v'nurut amen, יהי שמי רבו מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עולמי. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי בקדושה בריחו לעילם עם כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירם גרמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיים וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו amen. May the one who creates harmony and hybrid peace to us, to all Israel, and to the whole world. And we say, amen. You may be seated. I have a couple of announcements. First of all, we don't have any pictures to show, but one of our staff members, Adrian, had a son this week. Adrian Jr., that's not him. So we're happy for him. Registration's open in our religious school. Registration's open for our ECC. Intergenerational choir. Who wants to be in it? Sean? You can't sing? That's okay. You don't really have to sing. Intergenerational choir. Also join us for summer yoga on Tuesdays and Fridays at 8 o'clock and at 9:30 in the morning. 8 o'clock's a little early, but my wife's there every Tuesday, Friday at 8 a.m. So please join her for wonderful yoga. Join us tomorrow for our Shabbat Morning at Emanuel. We're having a little meeting afterwards to discuss, it's called the Indian Care Committee. We're discussing kind of, what happens in that service and what would people like to see and how we're going to be moving forward. So if you'd like to join us tomorrow, you may. We always have lunch after that service, so please do join us for that. I guess that's it. Thank you, Bill. That Shema was very beautiful the way you played that. It was a little different to me, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. I can tell.
It's a different feel. It's out here. It's wonderful.
So let's stand, do our final song, Ose Shalom. You all know the melody, hopefully you know the words, and we'll sing it together. Ose Shalom b'mromah, Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Space. May you be blessed as you go forward. Shabbat Shalom.
Rabbi?
We've got challah over there. Can you bring us to a major? Can you get to a major key here? Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'torah. We also might have a little lining in the
Our daughter's leaving for Israel tomorrow. We're excited, a little worried.
Listen, we always worry about you.
Yes.
Well, up for the my daughter said,
I don't
maybe a month after the war, I'm going there to pick up vegetables. I just thought that it's a very difficult job. I don't care. I only pay before I tell you.
No turning back.
Thanks God she went there. She said, once in your life you were like, but I did it. Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong.
Oh, okay.
I didn't hear it, but I went over to it. No, I saw her today. She's fine.
Oh, okay, fine, yeah. I didn't know.
I know, imagine.
She's from the name there.
She's fine. He's fine.
How are you doing? How's Lexi doing? Where is he now?
As you do.
Wait, stop.
No.
Jenny's on her way to Israel tomorrow. She's part of the APAC.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, okay.
It's, I think we caught up on Tuesday. How are your kids?
Good. Good.
How old?
Jenny's 33. She just got married. They got married in Buenos Aires. And Rabbi Aaron and Michelle came down to officiate it.
It's
It was really exciting.
a gift I have and I share it with you.
You do
I don't, it's not a job.
The reason why they got married was he was born in Argentina, but his cousins got married a year and a half ago, the night before Argentina, France, and Rome. And the whole place exploded in excitement for that. I said to Michelle, they can get married in Cambodia if he proposes.
So that's where?
Yeah.
And that is, you know, kids keep me busy.
It's all exciting.
It is. It's amazing as they grow up.
Yeah.
It's hard to think the kids at 30.
Oh, I know. They were just a little while ago, and now they're all grown up and being adults.
Amazing.
Have kids live. Oh, how
What
old
is
are
it?
yours?
You got 3 pieces of cheese.